Ben Love, but like, what's it felt like? More press, more media coming to you guys, and especially with this preseason.
I tell you what, I get more pleasure out of seeing the love that our players get.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's been incredible and well deserved. The thing that's so special about this is that you have a lot of grandparents that will tell you about 74 and tell you about 83, and rightfully so, man. Unbelievable championships, great people, great basketball teams. But this team was able to create their own memories. Obviously, winning the ACC the way we did, and then obviously going to the Final Four. And I think that makes me feel really good about it. We took a number 10 seed, and that number 10 seed, I'll fix this for somebody. That number 10 seed goes on to win 5 games in 5 days. So I think that's really what really makes me happy.
Kevin, with the turnover that you've had, how do you still make sure you build off last year's success?
That's a really good question. We've got 8 new guys as we did last year, and this year, we got 5 returners. I'm leaning on those guys, especially the 3 guys, and Michael and JT and Ben, who played a lot of minutes. My job is to teach our program. Their job is to top down on our culture, who we are and how hard we play and everything else. We've got some talented dudes that we brought in, whether it's a transfer portal or through the high school ranks. But one of the things that this particular group of guys has to learn is how hard we compete at NC State. And I think our returners are really helping us in that area.
Jim Phillips said that the ACC is undervalued. We heard your response just now inside the that room over there, and you had a great response as far as the coaches are concerned that left the conference or retired. For yourself, for the Hubert Davises, for the Tony Bennett's, the ones who've been to the Final Four, at what point, or do you think this is the point where you guys are starting to be recognized as those coaches in the ACC?
Yeah, I said before, we lost some really good Hall of Fame coaches that have been in this league, and they had a big voice, and you couldn't tell me if those guys were still in the league, they would accept the fact that we're getting 5 teams in the league. Their voices would really carry. In order for any of us in this league of 18 coaches, we may have that type of voice one day, but in order to do that, we have to continue winning games, and I think that's important. But this is, I'll top down on it. We do not go to the Final Four if we do not compete in the ACC, where we're battle tested through those 20 games that we play.
Coach, you bring that up in the fact of the ACC being as difficult as it is throughout the conference. Despite not having a lot of teams getting into the NCAA tournament, we've seen year after year in recent history the success of those teams above all the other conferences. Shouldn't success speak for itself for the ACC now?
Yeah, I think so, but here's the problem is every committee values something different. And it's almost a little bit weird because when it comes to the ACC, it seems like lately that whatever they value, we haven't been able to provide. I said this. I think we have to start concentrating on how much we can win in the non-conference because that has been a major factor in deciding who goes to the tournament. I didn't think we were seated right. I thought by our team performance throughout the year we were seated right. But after you win 5 games in 5 days, it's hard to. I'm gonna think about Texas Tech, thinking about who they saw us beat. We're 11 seed and they worked all year long to become a 6 seed. I just didn't think we were seated right. That being said, I think the committee does a tremendous job of what they do. I think as coaches also in our league, it's our responsibility to try to win as many games as we can in the non-conference so we can raise our conference net up instead of more individual nets.
Kevin, DJ was a totally unique player, and with him gone, how does that change stylistically the way your team is going to play this year?
Well, 2 things. I'm never going to coach a guy like DJ Burns. I'll even say this, nobody in college basketball is probably going to coach a guy like DJ Burns. I mean, how unique was he? He's got to be frustrated to guard because you can't front him in the post because he's catching the ball at the 3-point line, so you can't front him. Then he would back you down, and then if you decide that you want to double him, he would find open shooters. That being said, is when I went out to recruit, I didn't look for DJ Burns. I looked for good players. I'm never going to replace him. We don't have DJ Burns on his roster. We probably don't have DJ Horn on our roster. But we've got some guys that are good players that can do it in their own way.
So how does that change stylistically what this team will look like on the court?
We're going to try to play faster. Now, here's the weird thing is we still played fast with DJ Burns, but we would wait on him and obviously run, a lot of top action if we could. But with this particular team, we have to get out and run more. I think we have to create some more opportunities off of our defense.
Kevin, you've seen a lot of the freshmen in practice setting now. What have you noticed from them and their growth from the summer to now where you're getting ready for the season?
Yeah, our freshmen are really talented. Paul McNeil can score with the best of them. He's probably 6'5", 6'6" now, can really shoot the basketball. Trey Parker is a combo guard that can play 1 and 2, super athletic, very quick. And then Bryce Hurd can play some 2 and 3, and he's a guy that can score a lot. The biggest thing that all freshmen, including my freshmen, they have to learn how to compete every day. I think you see moments where maybe on a Monday or Tuesday they may be really good, and Thursday and Friday they may struggle, and it's more being consistent because you're young. It's the going to bed at night, eating the right stuff, doing all of the right things that will get them consistent on the basketball court.
Kevin, who have you challenged to be that culture guy for you guys this season?
You meaning coming in or?
Whoever on the roster, because you said you don't have a DJ Burns or a player like that. So who are you wanting to step up and be a player like that?
Last year, I will tell you this, at this point, we had no idea that DJ Horn was going to be DJ Horn and Mo Diarra was going to rebound the basketball. What we learn as we go through exhibitions and through games and everything else is that the cream always rises to the top. And so somebody will step into that role. I think we got several candidates that could be really good. I'm hoping that Ben Middlebrooks has a breakout year. I thought he was really good against Texas Tech. Michael, you can't say enough about him and what he did, in the NCAA tournament and the ACC tournament. But we've got 3 dudes that have transferred in that have all played in the ACC, and Brandon Huntley Hatfield and Mike James and Dontre Styles, and then you add a guy like Marcus Hill, who's a big scorer. So I couldn't tell you today who's going to accept the role as one of the guys. I've lost my leading scorer for probably the last 6-7 years, and so we got to figure out who's going to be this year.
What's impressed you the most about Georgetown transfer Dontre Styles?
Oh, I love the way you put that, Timmy. That's a man. That's a good man, yeah. Say that one more time.
Georgetown transfer.
There you go. So I love Dontrez. Can play some 3 and 4, super athletic, can really, you can tell he's really worked on his outside shot. When you look at the stats from last year playing in the Big East, very efficient from the 3-point line. He has a chance to be a really good player for us and wear a lot of different hats. I think he can rebound for us. I think he can get out and transition. I've already told him there's one thing that he will not accomplish here at NC State is when we have prime time with the Pac, he will not win the dunk contest. He's going to go to Trey Parker, and he didn't like that now. He's like, I'm going to win the contest. So we'll see if I'm right about that.
You seem to have a very deep and versatile roster. Could you see lineups where you can go big with Ben and Brandon? And do you see lineups where you could have your maybe pass, Torn, Dorn, small ball 4?
Yeah, there you will see at some point Ben and also Brandon on the floor together. You can add Ish in there. You can, Dontrez is going to play some, Torn, Dorn, Rose, and all that other stuff. But we do have the versatility to match up with different styles and different people that we play depending upon size.
What do you want to learn when you play against Purdue, either Ole Miss or BYU?
I just want to learn that we're competing and playing hard. These are early games, and it's my toughest challenge is when you got 8 new guys, is to try to get them to be ready to play on Thanksgiving or obviously at the start of the season. And so it's a measuring stick that you want to see where you at, but it's some opportunities for you to get some early wins.
are the returning guys, are they carrying themselves any differently this year? Do you sense like they have more of a belief or expectation in themselves after what happened last year?
Man, they're walking around with major swag. I mean, these guys. I mean, I said it at my press conference a few weeks back. I mean, man, Ben Middlebrooks is having the time of his life. I got to slow him down a little bit. But they're excited. They're having a good time. And I'm talking about a little bit off the court right now. But when it comes to a work ethic and teaching the new guys what's expected at NC State, they've done a great job. We didn't become a really good team until late March when Michael started realizing that his voice matters. And he started talking. And, I looked around in one huddle and he's talking to somebody. I was like, hold on, is that Michael? Because he hadn't said a word all year long. And what we're trying to do is get the 8 new transfers to talk and be a part early. It's hard to talk when you don't know what you're saying, but you can say, hey, play harder, be here, do those type of things.
How did March and April change you, if any?
It didn't. It changed me in the fact that not as a coach or the way I go about things. It changed me in as I got a chance to look at a group of guys that pretty much everybody gave up on, and outside of the guys in the locker room, and it really doubled down. And where as coaches, we all say that it's a marathon, not a sprint. Now, NC State basketball this year, it tells you everything about being a marathon. Like coaches, we all talk about, hey, you got to get your team ready for March. You got to be ready for March. And then obviously you take a beating all year long from everyone, and then your team might not be ready for March. We were prepared for March, and that was a good thing about it.
Still, 5 wins, 5 days. I mean, has it sunk in how enormous of an accomplishment that was?
It was. I usually go back and I watch every game, and I start at the beginning to the end. This year was so special. I started at the end. I got through Purdue real quick. I never winded that one. I didn't want to. But I watched every game backwards, and those 9 games I watched probably 4 or 5 times just to see. It was special. It was unbelievable. I'll be there if there's another team, hopefully in my lifetime, that wins 9 games, 9 elimination games in a row. I won't be standing there right beside them congratulating them because it's a tough thing to do. Our conditioning really showed through. We didn't, for those 5 games, there wasn't any breaks. This team was unique. On the way to shoot around doing DC, we would listen to rap music and we would put on every song. They never put on Biggie Smalls, which I like, which I just. But on the way back, we would play Marvin Sapp. We would play all type of gospel music and Kurt Franklin, and the bond that you get when you win that many games in that many days, this team's man is going to be forever remembered for what they did.
Well, you said that you haven't changed,
Yeah.
but has life changed for you, like in terms of getting recognized, like around Raleigh at all? Like what's different?
I don't, that's a good question. I don't think life has changed. I get a couple people every now and then say, I recognize your face, I know who you are. The ones who are not basketball fans, and there's like, I think you're, you guys, you'll love this part of it. I think you're a newscaster. Aren't you on TV? And I was like, yeah, that's me. That's me, yeah. So it hasn't changed. I mean, if anything, it's strengthened my faith and what I believe in and how hard you got to work and, a group of guys doing something special. It was really special to see this group of guys come together. Now, everybody will ask, well, how did you do it? One of the things was we never panicked because we lost 7 games by 5 points or less. 7 ACC games by at least 5 points or less. So we always knew we had a good basketball team. We just were not finishing. So we concentrated on more of ourselves and how can we get better than opposed to the opponents.
No extra swag for you?
Huh?
No extra swag for you?
Man, I've always had swag. I'm never gonna lose that. But if you want to give me extra, I'll take it. Yeah.
I wanted to ask about one of your conference rivals since you've experienced there at Louisville. What would it mean for the ACC to have Pat Kelsey get the Louisville program back to kind of what it was?
I think it's, listen, I was there and, for 3 years. And my 3 years may have been as assistant coach. We went to the Final Four. We went back and won a national championship. and we went to the Sweet 16 before I got my job at UNC Wilmington. It's a special place, and if he can turn it around, it's a special place for Louisville, but it also helps our conference. And I hope all of our teams are really good because we just want to uplift the conference.
What kind of
Jim
advice?
Phillips was mentioning today at his press conference, he thinks that you guys the league does a better job of promoting itself, and it might result in more bids to the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Do you think that's a valid idea, I guess, or is it?
Yeah, I think I'm rooting for all of our ACC teams to get some early wins because, basically it's coming down to the numbers. And if the numbers don't work, it doesn't look like we're getting a bunch of teams in. If we don't win the ACC tournament, we get 4 teams in, 4 out of 15. Now we got 18. So we as a collective group of coaches, we got to figure out, man, how to get back to the old days where we're getting 8, 9, 10 teams in, especially when you got 18.
What kind of
Promotion and PR and doing a good job of that, or
I think
winning?
I think promotion is important, but the most important thing is winning.
what kind of
Process is sort of like a moment to help NC State sort of maintain that top tier of college basketball programs, or do you not think about it?
Well, I think because of college basketball and the way it is now, it's a 1-year deal. I mean, everything starts over. And it's not just me, it's everything starts open. So it wouldn't be fair for me to say the one thing that we can carry over is our culture and how hard we play. But this team has to create their own memories. I'm not going to say because DJ Burns was good and DJ Holmes was good, that team was good, and Casey Morsell and Mo Diarra. It has nothing to do with this group. This group has to go out there and find their own way, and we got to figure it out. We got a long ways to go, but I do like our group.
The last 3 years, you've used the core a lot. A lot of scoring, relied on them to be, your key calls of your offense. Just, do you feel like now that you know what you're looking for, when you go, kind of what is that five guy back?
Yeah, we, as a team who has lost his leading scorer almost every year, we've created leading scorers, and I think I'm not going to give you my secret, but I think we have a good formula of bringing in transfers that have been successful. When you look back at my tenure here, we've had some guys who have come in and have done a great job for us. Identifying the right transfer is very important.
DJ Burns plays for Pat Kelsey that went through prior to transferring into you. What did you see from him? When he first came into your program. Maybe signs of Pat's coaching style, and just things that he maybe you obviously have ties to his staff as well, Pat. But when you brought in DJ Burns, how did he kind of have some of those aspects of Pat's coaching ways?
Well, that's a hard question because he had a chance to play for 3 different coaches, and Pat certainly did a good job with him. Rick Barnes started it off, and probably you'll give Rick Barnes a lot of credit because he was tough on him, didn't play him because he wasn't ready to be played, and then obviously forced him to transfer over, and Pat did a good job. Then he got coached again. I just like his ability to win. Last year when I asked the team about who'd been to the NCAA tournament, wasn't many of them, but DJ Burns was one of those guys. I just think he's had enough coaches where he's got better. I became a better coach when I realized who DJ Burns was, and we started playing to his strengths and not his weaknesses, and I think that really helped our team.
You have a very
Asking you earlier about promotion and marketing being part of helping the ACC get more business. It's more about the numbers. What went through your mind as you crafted the non-conference schedule this year? Because it is challenging.
Yeah, I don't know what went through my mind when I said I'm going to Kansas. And I don't even drink, but I'm figuring, did I drink something that night when I signed that contract? No, it's important. Look, we get a chance to, we got Texas at home, which is really good. We got Kansas, you get Purdue, and then obviously, whatever happens, you get Ole Miss and
BYU.
Really good programs, but we wanted to challenge ourselves. We didn't want to get to the end and we have such a good year and then don't have the opportunity to play because someone's going to hold your non-conference against us. Also, if you look around our conference, I think our entire league has raised their level of who they play based on the fact that we're just, when you look back at it, which is crazy because in the net, it almost says it bakes your non-conference in there, it bakes your strength of schedule, but outside of it is also a spot that says non-conference and how did you do in it. And so I think as a league, we've done a good job. I do think Jim Phillips is correct. We got to continue to market. But in order to market, we've got to help him by winning games.
What kind of voice does Brett Nelson bring, and is he now the best shooter on the staff?
He's the second best shooter on the staff behind me. But no, I think Brett brings a lot of experience in a lot of different ways. He's been a head coach before. He was a McDonald's All-American. He can relate to today's players, and it's always good when you add someone of his value to our program. And we're excited to have him. Him and Kareem had worked together before, and I don't talk enough about my staff, but we don't make that amazing run without the staff. The countless hours that they worked and the work that they put into, all of the players and how, they helped us turn everything around. So I just think he compliments the guys that's there, and I wanted to go and get a guy that would complement our assistant coaches that we have.
You have a very flashy player in Trey Parker. What element does he add to your offense, and what's it been like coaching him?
It's crazy you say that, but when you see him play, he's not as flashy as he is when you see him on the internet. He's a good basketball player, and what I wanted from Trey to be more of a basketball player than to be a guy who just about Instagram and Snapchat. And he's a talented basketball player. He's a freshman, but he's a really good basketball player that will bring a lot of value to our program. He's got a lot to learn, but he's going to be good. But when you watch him, he knows how to play, opposed to what you see kind of on the internet about him.
Hey, Coach. Talk about last year, you had that nice run all the way to the Final Four. What did you learn from your other players on the bench that might help you out this year, knowing that you have new people coming in?
Well, I'll use Breon Pass, for example. Comes into the Louisville game, DJ Horn's not playing, makes a couple big shots for us. We needed that. What I learned is that everybody on our bench and everybody in our game from last year was invested in NC State basketball, and all they wanted to do was win. And it didn't matter who got the credit as long as we played together.
How have you seen Jaden Taylor grow from year one to year two, especially in more of a leadership role?
Yeah, I mean, JT he had some great moments for us last year. I expect him to have some really good moments this year, but I think in the maturity part of it, when he came in, he thought that you had to score. And my job was to convince him that you don't have to score. You got to be a complete player. If you become a complete player, then your scoring will kind of eventually happen for you. And he's embraced several roles. I've asked him to be the best defender on the team. I've asked him to become a better passer, to clean up his assistant turnover ratio. I've asked him to shoot better from three. And so he's really worked hard to try to be a complete player.
Mike, particular moment beyond Michael's shot against you in DC, are there particular moments of your game that are just embedded in you?
Well, we just think about this now. DJ Horn against Louisville. That's the toughest game that you play, no matter what people say. It's the first game of the tournament. It's tough as one. Look at the championship game. We were subbing Casey Borsell in and out because certainly, obviously with his hamstring, what he was having happen. The Oakland game was pretty impressive, because of that part of it. Michael's shot speaks for itself. But throughout our tournament, we had so many guys step up. Ben Middlebrooks at Texas Tech was really tremendous. So it wasn't just one guy who played great. We had a bunch of guys that contributed, even though we were down to 7 dudes at one point. But we played some guys that really came in and did a good job for us. Mo goes down as the leading rebounder in the history of the ACC tournament. And you guys have covered that. You know the guys who have played that tournament. Now, they're going to make an argument they hadn't played 5 days, but, hey, we still won it. So.
What have you seen from Brandon and Mike as a coming in from a really tough situation? And how do they fit into this year's team? And just how's their confidence just heading into this new slate new season?
It's tough, and I was in Louisville, and so I experienced the highs. But when you lose the amount of games they did, for whatever reason, I still think Kenny's a really good coach. I just think it never came together. But at the end of the day, I think both of those guys, they have something to prove individually and then as a team. They know that they are better than Louisville's record in the way they played individually, and so I think they have a lot to show for that.
You have some of the transfers coming in. Obviously, some have experience. Obviously, they're going to be differential at first, but you also want them to assert themselves. How do you strike that balance where hey, you can speak to even though you're a new guy?
That's the toughest thing because, what I'm learning as you come in, if you don't know the system, you don't talk because you don't want to say the wrong thing. And so I'm trying to get guys to be able to communicate in other ways. You can also teach a freshman how to play hard without knowing the system. You can lead by example by your work ethic. Those are voices also without speaking a word. And then, hey, give back. Give some of your experience over the years to some guys that they needed.
So you see, like with those kids, their experience has value.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, whether you win or not, playing in the ACC for a couple of years or 3 years in some cases, man, you cannot ignore that experience that they have.
You've talked significantly about Michael's leadership growth. What about, yes, he's talking more, but what about the way he talks sticks out to you?
Yeah, Michael became a great point guard once he realized that his words matter. And a point guard, as we all would say, is an extension of the coach on the floor. And he learned how to motivate some guys, and he learned how to pat some guys on the back. He learned how to, hey, say this to a certain player and say this to a certain guy. And I think when he learned the power of words is when he really took off as a point guard.
When you told him the story about how you heard him talking at in the locker room and you're like, oh my God, is that Michael? What game was that? Do you remember?
I don't know. It was more in the huddle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the locker room.
Okay.
And I don't know what it was, but I looked around I did a double take. He was, I think Horn was going off about something. Yes. And Michael was kind of calming him down. And the way he calmed him down was pretty impressive. Michael will play a lot of basketball in his future, but he's the one guy on my team that I could see being a coach one day.
Kevin, with the travel you've got west, have you thought much about what that might look like with travel, logistics? I know the football coaches here in July talking about it, but that was once a week, one game in a week. You guys are doing two out there.
Yeah, I would say that we're going to, let's say we play Wednesday, Saturday, which we do. We're probably going to end up leaving on a Monday, probably practice at home on Monday, get on the flight later on that evening, get out there, try to practice somewhere Tuesday, do a shoot around on Wednesday, and then play the game on Wednesday. But you can't do the trip without being gone the entire week. We'll probably leave on Monday and either get back. We'll probably get back Saturday at some point. Either Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge of it. And it is what it is. You have to do it. And you got two really good programs out there. And I remember. Hopefully it'll help me a little bit being in the CAA. We played Thursday, Saturday, and you really didn't have a day in between. And in this situation, we got a couple of days in between. So we've got to schedule it right. We got to travel right. We got to maintain our academics. We got to eat right. We got to get a proper rest. But it's a tough trip, especially when you haven't done it before.
Coach, is there a particular area, mentality, player, anything of that nature that you think will kind of take some people by surprise? Maybe they're looking at NC State somebody or something that we just maybe not talking nearly as much about that you were able to see.
Yeah, I think we have a bunch of guys on our roster that are all 10 to 14 points a game guys. Any given night, one of those guys can creep up to 18 to 20 points a game. I think what's different about this team is we don't have the big scorers in Quavion Smith and Jarkel Joyner and even DJ Horn. I think we got a bunch of guys that are right around the same ability to score the basketball.